is not Yusuf's good friend.
Yeah, it was
Well,
not.
all the way around, maybe all the way around.
But I enjoyed this. How many? Uh,
How many people we have there?
yeah,
I have no clue. I don't know where to see this. On Instagram lives, you can see on the corner, but here I couldn't find anywhere. I was
yeah. I mean,
looking around and I couldn't find it.
Let me just 1 second. I'm going to go to catch it. Just hold on. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. What are your biggest, I'm going to ask the question that I see on the YouTube. So if it's not the right question, but it's related to our subject, so I'm going to ask it. What are your biggest fears will happen to human nature due to these technology advances? It's Joyce that has this question.
Well, let me tell you, the fears are that we and that's projection of late Marvin Minsky. Is what we will be embedding so much technology in us, so we cannot distinguish between who we are. And he asked this question in his article in 1994, Scientific American. He says, "Is that fair to aggregate so much technology to us and then say that we are still human or not machines?" And my fear is the machines taking over. Honestly, it's a nightmare that many scientists are afraid of. But it's because what's happening. We have a domain over the artificial intelligence process in the beginning of when it was in the narrow stages. Now in machine learning, we have no domain whatsoever. So these are not only clever, they are learning how to do things. They are faster than our brain processing capacity. Mm-hmm. And then the fear, if we don't have a strong ethical framework, and if we don't control this framework, my fear is, honest to God, by 2090, it's not 2050, but we have this artificial intelligence or this sky, what's a Terminator-like or Matrix-like government that,
Yeah, in my case, my biggest fear is that artificial intelligence starts somewhere. Someone has to create an algorithm, right? And whoever is creating the algorithm is defining protocols, is defining rules, and is defining how the machine will learn. So there are requirements and there are specifications that are being defined by a person. I don't know who that person is. I don't know what kind of values that person has and what kind of values will be represented on the code, right? So how will the machine learn? Will the machine value the same things that we as humans value if the things that are put on the original code don't take the machine on the right direction? So we may be creating machines that are crooks. I don't know. We may be creating machines that are there not to help humans to be more human, but to simply take advantage of the let's say the issues that the humans have, right? And so that's my fear. It's not the technology itself. It's the fear of the people that are behind the technology, making the technology go in one direction or the other.
Well, Catherine, and this is what Sergio is mentioning is really very interesting, because the problem that we are having now is we know where artificial intelligence starts, the algorithm, but these are machine learning, that they are learning on their own. And even Google, like the Google Translator, the artificial intelligence software, they discovered that the software developed its own translating language inside the software with no knowledge. The scientists had no idea. The developers had no idea what was going on. So this is something that is fearsome, as Sergio mentioned. We need to have this ethical framework. Thank God last year, UNESCO assembled a big forum to discuss ethics behind artificial intelligence. And it's not about ethics only within artificial intelligence. We're talking about bioethics as well. This nanotechnology plus bio or what they call genome project, all this. all of these developments need to be put into the right context and an ethical framework. Otherwise, it would be very, very problematic.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Who
So,
will rule all of that, right? Who's going to rule all that?
Catherine, I'm curious. I want to ask you, like, what do you think of customer experience by 2050? What are your expectations for that?
on my side,
Yeah,
I think it's going I think it's going to be really influenced by technology. I wish we're keeping that human side. Like I'm seeing all those movies and like seeing how this technology as being in a global, in a digital agency with a lot of new technology coming in. I'm always making sure that the customers stay at the center and like we keep that human touch. So for me, I'm just expecting that the human remain in the experience. That's what's important for me. And like how we're going to, sometimes I'm kind of curious and like scared at the same time of that big brother and like this idea of like being so personalized. We see it right now. If we go on a web page and there is so much publicity that is personalized, we're sometimes even asking questions to ourselves saying like, how can this publicity comes in my Facebook account or on a web page where I look on that with my iPhone? So it's like there's that kind of like ethics.
You should join us at CIMMO. That's why we exist. That's why we exist, to make the world a better place, to just help to design an ethical framework where humanity will be happier with marketing. Now, in spite of marketing, and when this consumerism has its own ethical framework, and then make sure that people are being not deceived, which is very hard nowadays.
Maybe
they are being used ethically.
Yeah, maybe I can take this segue because we didn't have the time. Maybe you can introduce CIMMO and like when have it been created and why, just a little bit. Like maybe we can talk a little bit about that just quickly.
Yeah. Well, CIMMO was created in 1988 by the province of Ontario, the Parliament of Ontario. And a bunch of marketers, they were afraid that the profession was going like out of the boundaries of what they imagined the profession is. And then they influenced the parliament and they created a private law that instituted or created the CIMMO. And they started like advocating. And marketers are thinkers out of the box. So we think that free market economy shouldn't have any regulation. And then the problem was, well, if you don't have regulations, that's it, and that's move forward, nobody will be associated. The problem started to happen when everybody started to think they are marketers. So print house is marketer, like everybody has his own agency, and then you see accountants regulated, and there were a necessity for ethical framework. How do you people who advertise and deceive customers and so on? So they left CIMMO under the radar screen from 1993 to 2015 when they reached out to me at Humber. Two elderly people came to me and said, "Oh, we have CIMMO," and I said, "What does it stand for?" And then I was looking at it so I searched it online as we do, just Google it, and nothing, only the law. But it was a great opportunity because nobody has a charter. So we decided. I talked to a couple of friends of mine, and I said, I am in education. You are in education, Catherine, too, and then we need to do it in the right way. So we need to reshape the marketing profession through this generation of new marketers. Millennials, Generation Y. Sometimes we need to get them into the right framework, and then it's a not-for-profit organization, volunteer-based. Everybody, Sergio is volunteering, I am volunteering. Everybody is volunteer. We have Afaf, she's with us here. Tamish is a volunteer as well. So, and the aim is to make the world a better place for marketing, which means, look, through education, persuasion, doing the right thing. We are not going to disrupt or break out any of the rules, but what we are going to do is, hey, there is a way to advertise, and it is long-term sustainable, and it is profitable. So you can plan your life alongside with it. You don't need to deceive people to get short-term gains, and then consumers are not taken into consideration. So we're working on this, and then Sergio was invited, a friend of mine, a Brazilian, and I met him 4 years ago, and
you both work in Brazil, so
well. And Sergio has developed a framework. It's called NICE in his previous job, and I teach customer relationship management in my class. So I thought, Sergio, there's this framework should be developed and write a book, and let's incubate it at CIMMO and help Canadian and worldwide organizations to get it right.
So if people want more information, they go on CIMMO.org, so CIMMO.org, and you can see all the information.
Yes, and you have CIMMO CX, CIMMO Academy, Skills Academy too. 4,000 free courses for those who want to develop their skills, and we are curating courses. And soon we'll have our own courses in customer experience. So Sergio and his team.
Yeah, not ready yet, but it's in process.
Yeah. So
I'm just looking if there is a question. I see that somebody say hi. If you want to put a question, please feel free to put it on the private chat. We're there for that. So it's very sunny outside, too hot to go. So we stay inside and we answer questions. Yeah. Sergio and Dr. Youssef, I don't know if you saw the question, but I saw a question appearing very quickly on the bottom at the end. It was related to older versus younger, but I don't remember the question exactly. So,
yeah, I guess it was talking about why there is a difference between older and younger, and the answer is very simple. We grew in a different environment. When I was exposed to a computer was very late in my life, while my kids, for example, they were born in that environment, right? So they grew with an iPad in their hands. So sometimes they used to go when they were younger, they would go to the TV and try to change to move the pictures on the TV, by passing their fingers across the screen. They, for example, they not even know what a typewriter is. So there is a difference in the way you see things and the way
you're disclosing our age, Sergio. Come on.
No, yeah, but that's true. That's to answer the question. So there is a fundamental change in the way you see things, and typically, I'm not. Of course, every rule has an exception, but I would say that on average, younger consumers or the younger people, they have less patience than the older ones to get reward for whatever they do, and they, as I mentioned, they just don't care about the details. They care about the functionality. Is this good or not? Does it work? Does it deliver what I need? Yes, take it. No, it doesn't. Forget it. Right? They don't have the same level of loyalty. In the past, we used to be stuck with the same thing for years because there was not a lot of choice. While today, the younger generation, they are used to choices. They can, if they don't like this social media, they go to the other one, or the other one, or the other one, or the other one. They can change every day if they want. So the simple difference between the way we grew and the way we formed our way of thinking is the essence of the difference between the older and the younger. It's not better or worse. There's no such thing. It's just different. And if we don't recognize the difference, and if we try to deliver great customer experience the way we see it and not the way they see it, they will never see that as great. They will sometimes not even see that as a customer experience, right? So we have to understand the difference so that we can format the experience to the eyes of those who are getting it, not to the eyes of those delivering it.
It's that I like that idea because I'm always talking about this internal intuition that some executive or some person in company have the feeling that they know the customers. And I've been hearing a lot of this quote saying, I've been working in that company for 20 years. I know my customer, and I'm always telling them, yes, you know them, but there's a lot to uncover from those customers. And I'm always quoting that quote that stats from Bain, which is from 2015, I think, or maybe earlier on, which is that when we ask the executive how is their customer experience, 80% say that they deliver a superior customer experience. But when we ask to the customer of those same companies, only 8% agree. So we call it the delivery gap. So it's always this idea of we think we know our customers, but we don't know them. And as you mentioned, you make the difference between older and younger customer. They're probably like that in Ontario. In Quebec, they are probably very different. So it depends on the region. It depends if they are from the city or from the, like, they are more living in the outside of the
yeah.
So yeah, so it's like important to like make sure that we always connect consumer and don't have hypotheses that we don't validate about our customer. We have somebody that just asked if it's possible to access the recording of the session. If we're talking about the session we did at Campus Party, it is available online, so we can confirm that it's already recorded. It's going to be available for this session. Dr. Youssef, will it be available or?
It will be available soon. After the session, it will be made on YouTube on our CIMMO channel. So it's
Yes.
recording too.
So anybody who wants to listen to us again and again and again, it's going to be available, so you can listen to it all summer.
We have a FAF.
The effect of my beautiful voice.
Yeah. I think I think we are shaped by the ecosystem that we live at. We were different from our parents, as Sergio pinpointed. We always used to disagree, and then they always used to say things that we are maybe telling our kids about nowadays, about their behaviors and the way they look at the world and they perceive the world. What I think is worrisome is the increase in influence of technology. Not that we were not influenced by that technology. We came from the video game Atari, Sergio, remember? We were influenced, but I mean, the digital world and this liquid world that has become such a reality, and the distinction between the digital me, the physical me, and the avatars, and how can we behave in these both worlds is is exactly what worries me. And about the customer experience, how do we, from the other side, we are capable of perceive these differences, as you mentioned, Catherine. How do we cater to them? How do we deliver this experience that they are dreaming of? And how can we detect, which moment they are at, whether they are at the avatar or the physical one? And these are the major challenges that I hope we can cope with in the future.
Yeah, and I think technology is going to help. Like, as I mentioned, I'm a human-centric person, so like I'm always like pushing technology. I'm very strong. I hate to like bring back always Steve Jobs quote saying that the customer must be first, not the technology. So I'll just say it, but I keep it aside. But I think being able to understand every consumer, like what they prefer, where they are during their journey, and being very reactive for the company, like being able to like solve problems that the customer have when they happen, but also being proactive, like being able to see pattern and see if there is like a mistake that might happen or insatisfaction to the customer is going to help. And Sergio, when you were talking about like smooth, convenient operations, simple and everything, it's like how can we understand how the customer is consuming, how his experience is going, and how we can improve it to make sure. So I think your conclusion about like the technology being an enabler for the human is like really really the point. And when I include technology in a new customer experience, like when we had the technology, I'm always making sure that it's providing to the human more value. And for the employees, I don't want them to feel that the technology is going to replace them. It's about like using the technology for like non-value added feature or things that the technology can do better and really improve the employee experience, bringing them to work on something that are more value for the experience. So it's always like, I like technology, like it's fun, but I want to make sure that the employee in the store doesn't feel like the technology is going to replace me. No, it's going to give me new tasks that is going to be probably better for my experience as an employee.
Yeah, you're almost describing the NICE program.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the purpose, to make sure that technology is understood as a tool, a great tool, and we cannot turn our backs to it, but it has to be a tool, right? And particularly because, I've seen so many cases where the companies, they say that they have the customer in mind and this the center of everything they do, and then when the new technology comes, they don't really care if the technology brings value to the customer or not. They simply implement it because it's the flavor of the week, and if they don't do it, everybody else has it, so they have to do it. And then how many times I prefer not to mention brands now, but I bought an equipment from a company, a technology company, and the whole experience now is digital. And when I try to clarify a question, I went to talk to a chatbot. And that was one of the worst experiences I could ever have, because that bot simply couldn't understand my language. I was saying things, I typed, I actually wrote what I wanted, and it simply couldn't understand my question. And I didn't have the option to talk to a human to clarify that. You know what I did? I gave up talking to the company that sold me the machine. I went to Google, and I found a video of a third party that taught me how to handle that company's equipment. That's ridiculous. So for me to have a good experience, I have to go look for a third party. Why? Because someone said that a chatbot was good. Yes, chatbot is good, not for the type of question that I'm asking. I should have the choice to say, sorry, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to a human. And a human would answer the phone. Yeah. Over time, people will get used to that. The artificial intelligence will make it easier, right? So people will have, the quality of the answers will get better and better and better. But then it's okay to implement the chatbot without a choice to talk to a human, but not now.
And that's why I like what you say. And just for personal experience, I am going to just speak a little bit, because you spoke on things that make me remind some project I did, and I just want to maybe showcase it so it can bring. I'm a CX in a digital agency, so my role is to make sure that what we develop and the insight we get from the consumer create value. So I'm kind of shift left in the technology, so I make sure if we have a technology, let's do discovery before and uncover insight from our customer, and make sure that we're instead of being on solution right now, let's understand the problem and find the proper solution. So it's kind of the design thinking idea. So making sure we're discovering the consumer before going into the solution. And a lot of project I'm working on is about we have the best website is working well, but it's not converting. So consumer has to do user testing, consumer interview to understand why don't the web page convert. So why it is so low? And we do interview, and we interview customer, and we realize at some moment they need to speak somebody. It's probably an important decision. And even if we put all the feature, the best content, the best information, they just want to be reassured by a human, so they want to speak. And sometimes they have quick question, a chatbot could help, but sometimes it's a decision point. They want to speak to somebody, and they want to do it. So I think that's something to consider. Is we're not putting technology for the sake of technology. We're making sure we're bringing more value to the consumer. And another thing, you talk about third party, and it just popped me the idea that we work on at the beginning of the year on the idea of community, saying that more and more company they cannot create content. There is ambassador of the brand. There is people that are at home ambassador of their brand and creating video or creating content about a brand. And how can we enhance the community to help the consumer? So together we're getting better. We're creating a community around the brand. So the company is delivering their service, but it's the person who use the product and the service who help the community to get better. But also the idea of community is how can we create it? How can the brand can be more than just product and service driven? So, by example, this company is in the retail, so it's selling clothes for all the family, and we're thinking about how can this company create a platform where a community can get and people can exchange insight about how it is to be a parent, how to sew, how to personalize the clothes and stuff like that. So it's more than just selling the product. It's about creating a community around the product. So this idea of third party, like you mentioned, sometimes company gets so difficult to get connected with them. That's the community that's answered those questions. So
actually, sometimes they fear the third party because they can't control the third party. They can't control the message. They can't control the criticism and the everything. So sometimes the companies, they prefer to ignore the third parties, but sometimes the third parties are more influential than the company itself. So that's the thing that we try to make people understand, that when you're talking about customer experience, the most fundamental thing you have to understand is that you have to deliver value from the customer perspective, not from your perspective. It really doesn't matter what you like, what you think. What matters is what the customers will consider when they're making a decision. Will they stay with you or go somewhere else? What really matters is what they consider in their decision-making process, right? And when you ignore that, you're basically giving a lot more power to to the third parties and a lot more power to the customer to simply turn their backs to you.
And exactly, and just to conclude, and maybe Dr. Youssef wants to add something. What you say is that I love saying to this quote who say, if you don't take care of your customer, your competitor will certainly do. So I think if you're about like trying to get to that chatbot, the one of the things you could probably do is take your product back to the store and return it because you're not able to use it. So that's kind of like when we close all the channel with the consumer, like it's a probability that they are not loyal because they're not able to use the product.
Well, yeah, I think both perspectives are amazing. I mean, you were talking here, and I was thinking of this transformation that the customer perception and emotions, because customer experience is related to emotions, emotional ties to the brand, or the whatever the persona lives with the brand during this life cycle that they have with it. What if the persona is being transformed and having new aggregations in terms of technology and so on, and how much like this human experience will last until when technological other elements are weighing in? For example, can you imagine how would be the future if part of our brain is controlled by augmented intelligence, as they projected? This is a reality. It's nothing like just and that is something that we need to reflect on, and keeping the human, understanding their emotions and their needs, and tapping into these emotions, making them live in this experience the best way possible, I think is what made define the long-lasting organization from that the one that is giving up their consumers to someone else. And I'm really always amazed by how much we talk about customer experience, and then the methodology that we're working on. Sergio has been able to test this methodology actually in a big manufacturing park and company, and transforming this, like taking this company from number 13 in customer experience to number 1. And how much are we, as you mentioned, you both, how much are we really aware of things that are happening? How much are we really aware of things that are inside the organization are happening? And do we really have the real picture? Like sometimes in our own families we don't have it, So how much we have it inside the organization?
Yeah, you probably already heard the 4. It's from Paris Saint-Germain, so it's pretty old, but it's all this idea of the 4 type of experience, and like I kind of read a book, and like a lot of like authors like from customer experience reuse that and say there's a desire experience, which is the experience. And if there's people that's from Valtech or maybe hear me like in conference, I'm talking a lot about that, so sorry for that, for repeating. But there's this desired experience where the executive, like they are going to the hub side, and they are like all boost together and say, okay, this year we're going to give the best experience. So they have that desired experience. And there is the marketing that receive that desired experience and create all the communication to the consumer, and consumer get it, and like they expect a certain experience. So this is like the first two part. And after, when we go into the company, there is like, I think you mentioned that, Sergio, about the constraint of the employee to deliver the experience, like how they operate, the technology that they have, the poor employee on the field trying to serve the consumer, and they have so much restriction. There's legal, there's technology, there's their process. They have the stats that they are rate on for their bonus at the end of the year. So they receive the desired experience from the executive that are disconnected from the reality of the field. And like they are trying to deliver a certain type of experience. And the consumer is coming to the stores, to the company to receive the experience. He's expecting a certain type of experience. The employee is giving a certain type of experience, and he's leaving an experience that's really like maybe different than what is expected. So those 4 types of experience, I always like to talk about them, because it's providing the gap between everything that we're trying to create as an experience. We have an idea, we're trying to execute it in the field, and there is a lot of barriers. The consumer is a human, so he's having his own perception, so it's creating his own like expectation, and there is a relation between a technology, a human, and another humans that is living the experience at a certain moment. and that's creating gaps. That's why customer experience is it's so important to track those 4 type of experience to make sure that what we deliver and the experience that the consumer is living, it's really what was desired at the beginning. So I'm explaining it a little bit like you did. You said without my slide, but
yeah, well, I hope I did it well, because when I thought I didn't want to lose time just to connect my slide. But look, Catherine, I think you nailed it in the head. How do we map all of these experiences, and how do we read them too? And I think, Catherine, I think you should join us, honestly.
But I'm from Quebec, so I don't. I don't want to.
We're all virtual anyway. Last time I met Yusuf was 4 months ago.
Yeah, that's true.
And my whole team at CIMMO the same. There are people in my team that I never actually met.
Yeah.
There's only one person in my team I met.
That's probably the new reality of a lot of companies who are hiring new people and are coming in and never meet each other.
Catherine, I think all of us are around a cause that would make marketing impactful, and not only from customer standpoint, but from organization standpoint too.
Yeah.
How many organizations are losing a lot of money because they don't understand what you have just said? Where the pain point is, and how do they address their consumers' experience in the right way. So I think we together we can. And Quebec, c'est un passion pour moi. Well, I think Quebec, and well, look, you're welcome to join. It's a volunteer cause. I mean, it's a movement. So all of us are volunteers. All of us, everybody who works at CIMMO is volunteer. Nobody makes any penny out of this, So and obviously in your private business, like Sergio has his own consultant company and so on. So you're free to project yourself to the world, but rather than that, I mean, it's a good people around a good cause.
It's a rendezvous, so I'll be more than happy to discuss more and join. And if we have still people like on the live, as I mentioned, there is the CIMMO.org. And they can become member, or maybe reach out to you to get to know more. So if they are from Ontario, but as we just mentioned, if you are from other part of Canada or other part of the world, I'm pretty sure this could make a chapter or a little community elsewhere, or maybe you can influence your government to create the same type of mentality, because our session was about living better. It's about being a person and living better. But it's also a community, and marketing would have a lot of impact in the next years, and technology. So it's how can we influence government to make sure that we keep a little bit humanity in that experience.
Absolutely. So I think we're good. How do you guys think? Sergio, do you want to say anything, or?
Oh, I guess I'm okay. I guess the invitation to come see what we're doing at CIMMO, it's a great thing. We will try to start a flow of information about the NICE program and how we'll deploy that to the market. It's not readily available, but it will be very soon. We already have soft launch customers that we can, test and prove that it works, not only in certain environments, but in other industries as well. So it's in progress, and we're so excited about that.
That's good.
We don't have any more questions in private chat. It's your last chance if you have a question to ask it, because unfortunately, I think Dr. Youssef and Mr. Frias, you're going to enjoy the beautiful Friday afternoon. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you, Catherine. And you're welcome to join the movement to talk about this anytime you wish. Thank you. And enjoy the weekend in Quebec, the beautiful Montreal, and all the best. Sergio, thank you very much. I think we're good, eh?
Good to share the stage with you again. And Catherine, very good to meet you. And I already connected you on LinkedIn. So let's set up